Welcome everybody. Welcome to part 3 of our how-to webinar series. After the successful first 2 editions in the last month, where we looked at the onboarding roads for the first edition and reboarding and uncertain times for the second edition, today's topic allows us to dive a bit deeper into the pre and onboarding for this time small and medium-sized companies. Our research there has shown that, especially for companies in the size between 200 and 250 employees, the most common mistake is that onboarding really does not start before the first day at the company. So that is something that today we want to talk about and show you how to actually solve that and how to do it. But more on that later. Let's use the moment to meet my co-host for today, Thomas. Thomas, why don't you turn on your camera and introduce yourself?
Okay.
Nice.
Hi everyone.
Welcome.
I am Thomas Martignoni. So I am product owner at Apical for nearly 2 years. As a product owner, I am my job consists of researching, defining, and prioritizing all improvements or new features that we had to our product, and based on data, also our users' feedback and Apical strategy. So I am in contact with our users on a daily basis. And so I will share you some tips I learned from our users during this webinar.
Nice, okay. Let's get it rolling, let's start. I've mentioned the topic of the webinar already. The topic for today is how to structure the pre and onboarding for small and medium-sized businesses. For today, we have 3 learning goals prepared for you. The first one is, what are the building blocks to create a structured pre and onboarding? The second one is how to align the theory with the structure of your organization. And the third one is how to ensure that the key moments are included in your onboarding process. I've mentioned earlier the aspect of starting the onboarding process before day 1, especially for the third learning goal. You should watch out and show how we show you how to do it. I think, Thomas, you just introduced yourself already. Maybe a quick moment to myself, to those of you that don't know me. My name is Lukas Bodenstein. I am a product marketeer at Apical. I've been in the company since February this year, where I first joined as an intern and helped with the virtual Onboard London event, for example. But fortunately, I had the chance to stick around for a bit longer following that. And am now in this position of product marketing, where one of my roles is this how-to webinar series that should provide you with the knowledge you need to help process and structure your onboarding process a lot better. To Apical. Apical is the easy to use and effective platform for onboarding, engaging, and retaining your employees. Apical empowers the world's best employee experiences by making it easy for you to create the workflows, to build employee journeys, and all of that while providing you with the data you need to make better decisions. Quickly to Apical. In fact, Apical was founded in 2012. We have our headquarters here in Amsterdam, where I'm speaking to you from right now. Furthermore, we have offices in the UK and in Tel Aviv. We employ around 50 employees, serve over 300 customers in roughly 120 countries worldwide, with a total of 150,000 onboardees a year. A few of our customers are, for example, KLM, HP, Heineken, PepsiCo, or the Allianz Group, or the OPCW. Let's move to the topic of the day, how to structure the pre and onboarding process for small and medium businesses. And maybe at this point, it's a good moment to ask you, the audience, with a poll. I think, Thomas, since you're the host now, you have to launch the poll. Yep. Perfect. The question for you is, how familiar are you with the 4 C's of onboarding? Are you not at all familiar with it? Have you heard of them? Are parts of your onboarding program inspired by them? Or is your onboarding program built on these building blocks? Okay, are we ready to share the answers?
Yep. We'll end the poll and share the results. Yep.
Nice. As we can see, around 50% of the participants are not at all familiar with the 4 C's of onboarding. that's perfect. Don't worry. We'll take the moment to explain them to you in depth again. But also good to see that for some of you, it already inspired parts of your onboarding program or is an essential part of it. So that's definitely good to see. Let's move to the next slide. Exactly, the building blocks of the pre and onboarding. For those of you that have been around for part 1 and part 2 for this webinar, we've mentioned these 4 C's of onboarding already. They were set up by Bauer in 2010, and they split up in compliance, clarification, culture, and connection. The compliance aspect is really just describing the on-the-job basics like email accounts, setting up a computer that is necessary, or handling employment paperwork. The clarification aspect is managing the expectations of the job specifically, making sure that details and the context of the job requirements specifically are clarified and communicated correctly. Moving on to the third one, culture. Culture explains the norms in organization and has the aim to turn your new employee into a brand ambassador. And connection, which is arguably the most important aspect, is making sure that the key interpersonal relationships between your new hire and other team members or colleagues is there, that your new hire knows what support mechanisms it has, what its support network is, so you can always reach out in terms of questions or uncertainties. Let's move to the next slide. Now we've mentioned these 4 C's that are, so to say, the building blocks of the onboarding structure. And what is pretty important, because they were pretty general, is that you align this theory with your specific organization structure. And that is different for each company, for each size, for each way you want to do the onboarding platform. So here we're going to share some tips with you, especially for the compliance part I've mentioned already. It is important that you start the onboarding before day 1. So that your new hire knows about all the compliance aspects of the new job before it actually joins the company or starts this job. And one tip there is to make these compliance aspects as interactive as possible. Later on in the webinar, we will go into that and show you how to actually achieve that. And yeah, let's move on to the second one, clarification.
Yeah, so of course, like to be compliant, you have to be clear like on what are your expectations and all the information that you are sharing to all your new hires. So what we recommend in onboarding is that there is like key moments. Most of the time it's like good to start with like generic information about the company, of course, before day 1. And then also the second block is like how to prepare for your first day. So then as soon as you arrive in the company, you already know, well, in the big lines, what you will have to do and what are the expectations. And then the third block is about during the first day or on the first day, what are the practical information that you need to know about your workspace, so where it is, how to access it, what are the lunch policy, but also like what are the tools and who you will need to ask to have like the license key, for instance. And so on. So how you can do, what are the necessary information to perform your job. You can also share a 100-day plan in order to have a vision and to know like in which direction you have to go, what are your goals that you need to reach. And regarding the clarification, assigning an onboarding buddy is also like a key stakeholder in this process, because he will like teach to your new hires all the unwritten rules, because like the role of a buddy is different to that of a mentor, manager, or coach. While this relationship is more like is less formal, and the role of the buddy is to assist the new hires navigate in the company, and then be ready, and then be be fully onboarded. He will also play a key role in sharing the culture of your company, which like leads us to the third point. And if your employees well onboarded, then it will turn your employees into brand ambassadors. And then maybe he will become a buddy for new other new hires. And one of also the key steps in sharing your culture is, for instance, to create a video from the founders or from the CEOs where he or she will explain the why and what of your organization.
Nice. Thank you so much, Thomas, for the clarification and the culture. And especially the culture aspect leads directly into the connection part. Thomas has mentioned the onboarding buddy as a big role to clarify and also to show the culture. But also for the connection aspect, it is pretty important because that buddy really takes the new hire under his wings and shows him the company and makes sure he connects with other team members. Another idea that, for example, what we do here at Apical is we schedule coffee dates with new hires and colleagues and team members, also from other departments, so that this new hire really in his first week or 2 weeks gets to connect with as many people as possible and have these interpersonal connections that in the end actually really retain your new hire and make sure that this new hire feels comfortable in his new work position. But now that we've mentioned the theory and connecting the theory with your organization structure, how do you actually make sure that these key moments are included in the process? Maybe, yeah, I think now is the moment where Thomas shows us a little bit about how we actually do it in our platform.
Yeah. First, well, all of our users are, well, we have like a team of consulting onboarding. So basically they are like helping all of our clients to create their onboarding journeys. So they have like more than like 200 clients to create the onboarding process. So they have an extensive knowledge of what should be a good onboarding. They created some well, suitcases or examples that all our users are getting in the platform as soon as they create their account. These like suitcases or examples are here to inspire you and also to show you, well, based on the good practice that we know, that how your onboarding process should look like.
Ah, nice. Can you maybe show us how these suitcases actually look like in more depth?
Yeah, of course. So here, for instance, so you will always find this suitcase workspace to where you can like directly like duplicate and well, start to use them. So here, for instance, you can see that you have like some blocks. So based on the 4C theory, so the first block will be like always unlocked to the new hires, like around like 40 days before the first day. Well, if your onboarding is shorter, you can also like change it to 15 days. And so in each block, you will find a message to well, to communicate that you have what your new hires that new content is available for them. And also you will find some well, you can add some checklist items or to-do items to also like better guide your new hires and to make sure that they are like doing some like key actions at a specific step. But you can also add some content, like for instance, like 30 days before. So we always recommend to share like generic information regarding your company. So here, for instance, you will see that, well, we will talk about so the story about your company, your mission and vision, well, your core values. You can also share like who are your clients, what are your products and or services. And for instance, if you have several locations, where are you located worldwide? Yeah.
Now that I think this was a great overview over what the suitcases actually entail, but maybe let's dive deeper on a page level to see actually how much you can make sure that the key moments are included in each suitcase.
So for instance, like, well, 7 days before the first day, or around like the first week before the first day, we always recommend to share like some practical information. And so for instance, like how you can be prepared for your first day. So I will show you. So from here you can like directly so use this like prepare for your first day and then like modify it to be sure that well it will fit to your own company culture, the tone of voice that you want to use, etc. So as soon as, well, you will see, so we always start all of our like stories with an introduction page. So we always recommend also to, for instance, use GIF because like the first day can be a stressful moment. So the GIF are a good way to, well, use a little bit of humor and also like try to reduce the level of stress. And for instance, then you can share some like, well, mandatory information. So where to go to be sure that, well, your new hires will arrive at the correct address and not at another location in the same city, for instance. So you can add also like a picture of your office, or you can add a link to Google Maps, for instance. Another well, question I think like every new hires ask themselves is like what to wear. So for instance, you can add some quiz, and so your like new hires will have to, so they have some interactive elements. And like, for instance, you can so easily modify them. If I want to add, I don't know, another like option, I can go here. And if you do not have any like good looking content, so we have also integrations to have good looking content. We have one with GP. So I already show you a page with a GIF. So you can directly type here and then add this GIF to the page. Or we have also an integration with Unsplash, which is like a website where you can find like free photos. And so, for instance, regarding like what to wear, I want to add a pajama. So I am just, well, typing pajama. I click on this picture and I click on insert. And then you will see, so another option is there. So, well, of course, so we didn't write the text for you, so you will have to, well, adapt it and also to be sure that, well, it will fit your tone of voice and what you also want to share.
Nice. I think now you did a pretty good job of showing us how you could potentially prepare your hire for the first day. But maybe there's some other things that we have in our thing to show you how you make sure that your new hire is prepared for the first day,
Yes.
outside of knowing what to wear, obviously.
Yes, of course. So what is important about onboarding is, of course, to share the information with you, well, all the relevant information with your new hires, but it's also like to share them at the right time. So we always recommend, so as I was saying before, to start like, well, kind of like, well, before the first day, so 30 days, you can share like some like generic information about your company, then some practical information. And well, so like 1 day before the first day or like 2 days, well, it's up to you. You can also add always a message to remind like to your new hires and also to the key stakeholders that will play a key role in the onboarding process. So that could be the HR manager or like the HR contact person or the buddy of this person if you have a buddy in your company, or this manager. So for instance here, so we like just like try to give a warm welcome to this new hire and also had some like useful information as like who will be your manager. Most of the time you already know because during the job interviews, well, you already met him or her, but like you can also present or introduce like who will be your buddy or who will be your HR contact person if you had any question. Of course, you can introduce them like later on, but that's always good to have like a reminder to be sure that and to know like who are going to whom are going to welcome you tomorrow, and then you have like all of this information fresh in your mind.
Nice. Thank you for that, Thomas. Maybe let's pick up the point that I've mentioned in the introduction to this webinar, and that is, how do you actually ensure that the onboarding starts before day one? How is it made easy with our platform?
Yes, for instance, as you saw, we have like some like steps in this journey. So we always recommend like in one step So to add a message and some content, you can also add some to-do items, as I said before. But like, for instance, if, well, you have like a shorter onboarding program, like for instance, you can just like edit this block of content and like instead of like displaying this, all of this content like 30 days before the first day, you can like just change it to 15 days before the first day and then update the step. And then you will see it will be unlocked 15 days before the first day. So then you can also like, if you want to spend more time on, well, the onboarding phase, you can also like add several steps to before the first day. Also, there is one more point, like if, like about the practical information or no, on the first day, if you want to share like some specific information for each teams, you can also do it. So for instance, here, so it's like where we have all the content that had been created. If I have like one story for like all you need to know for the marketing team or all you need to know for the sales team, then I can like, if I want to, yes, personalize my onboarding journey, like for teams or for location, it is possible to do it. And so in this case, you just have like to, so add this content in this block, and then you will see, so it will be like onboarding for example, for marketing, on the marketing team. And then, so you can be sure that like all the generic information will be shared to all teams, but you can also like specify it per teams or per location.
Nice. Maybe because you just mentioned it, and I see that we've reached a question from Sanya. She asked if it's possible to have like one company program that works for different locations. So, for example, if you have different subsidiaries, is that possible to adapt the content for the different locations?
Yes, of course, it is possible. What you can do is, well, you can like, well, personalize it on a topic level, on a story level. It's up to you. But like, for instance, for the house rules, it could be like house rules here in Amsterdam or house rules in London, where we also have an office. What we do also is like here you have like workspaces. And so you can add, well, it's a kind of folders when you can sort all of your onboarding journeys that you previously created. And so at Apic also, we have like onboarding in the Netherlands for the sales people, for the marketing people, for the product team. And for instance, in the UK, so we only have the sales team. So we only have like one onboarding for the sales team. And where also we share some specific information regarding how London's office.
Nice. I hope that answers your question, Sanya. Maybe now is a good time to go back to the PowerPoint presentation and to wrap that part up.
Yep.
I think we've heard a great demo of the platform, and we've seen how easy it is to ensure that, especially the onboarding platform, the process starts before day one. Once again, we've seen that for a lot of the smaller companies, in particular, that's really not the case in most cases and in most companies. So if there's one thing you can take away from this webinar is really start to make sure that the compliance aspect, the connection, and these building blocks are part of your onboarding platform, and that the onboarding process starts before the day one. And then we've shared some tips and tricks of how to make sure that the theory of the 4 C's is aligned to your specific organization. And I think Thomas has done a great job of showing how easy it is to make sure that, you know, content looks presentable and looks nice and is easy to adapt to your specific organization and to the structure of your company and to actually the culture of your company. So you can really make sure that your culture is represented in your onboarding platform. Now the moment for questions for the Q&A round. Please take your time and go into the Q&A function and ask your questions there. Okay, I think I've reached one question, and that is in the connection to the 100-day plan that you've introduced earlier. Are there maybe some tips and tricks of how to continue the process after the 100 days? If you have some ideas, especially for that.
Yes, of course. Like for instance, well, So our platform can be used for onboarding, but you can also use like for trainings. So we, for instance, in our company, because we are like ISO certificated, so we have to be compliant with some. So as soon as we are onboarded, so we have like a form to complete, and so we use also our platform to be sure that every year all our employees are like they answer to all of these questions, and they answer this question in the correct way. So like we also use it to train all Apical employees here. And so that's definitely possible to use it for like training and training.
Nice. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Are there any more questions? Please feel free to hit up the Q&A function and ask me or Thomas directly.
Yeah, because also like I shared, like when I share like the onboarding examples, the main event, so the key event of this like process was the first day, but it is customized. Well, you can customize it and you can change it. So for instance, for like a training, it can be like I don't know, like once a year. So you want to, you have this training day, so it can, the main event of this process can be so the training day, and then you can like also like share some all the training information and generic information, I don't know, like 1 or 15 days before the first day, and then on the training day you can also share like so your training.
Okay, yeah, that makes complete sense. I think there was no more questions in the Q&A function, so let's move on to the next slide. And our limited QR code, scan the code below and have a free trial at the platform that Thomas just introduced. Work around, ask us questions, and really get to experience how easy it is to ensure that the key blocks are included in your onboarding process. Yeah. What's next? This was part 3 of the how-to webinar series. There is another one planned for the end of the year. We will announce more on that soon. But first, we have the virtual onboard week that's coming from November 9th to 13th for a whole week full of inspirational talks on from companies such as Heineken, Rabobank, the Van Gogh Museum, Lightyear, and Hotel. And we will cover topics such as reboarding, onboarding, personalized onboarding, culture onboarding. So yeah, make sure to sign up, and yeah, we can go back to the QR code, Kim. Sorry, we were there for only just a second.
Yeah.
Nice. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either me or Thomas, and we will make sure to answer your questions. I hope by now everybody had the chance to scan the QR code, and so did you, Kim. You got it now, perfect, thanks. Okay, I think now is a good time to end the webinar. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending and for being here. Thank you, Desi, for example, for coming in and tuning in. I hope you guys could learn something and make sure to include these building blocks in your onboarding process moving onwards.
Yeah, we wish you a great day and stay safe.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.